evening, everyone. My name is Vernisha Jones, and I am the president of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. And we believe that we are the solution to the violence in our community. Our theme is nothing with us, without us. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is sponsored by Fathers Who Care, which is a nonprofit organization located on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. Again, everyone, I'm Vernisha Jones, and I'm the president of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is comprised of 15 youth from our neighborhoods whose focus and concern is the youth leadership and focus and voice within the community to reduce senseless violence and illegal substance use. We invite people from all over, especially young people, to come in and see what we're all about. Our show will be scheduled every Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, that is every Thursday at 7 p.m. We would like to encourage calls from people watching, with your calls and comments at 312-738-1060. Again, that number is 312-738-1060. Our show can also be viewed online at www.cantv.org/live. Again, that website is www.cantv.org/live. Well, everyone, I know you noticed this beautiful young woman sitting aside of me. Instead of me introducing her, I will allow her to do the pleasure of introducing herself.
Thank you, Vernisha, so much for being here. I'm really excited. My name is Yolanda Fields. I am the Chief Program Officer at Breakthrough Urban Ministries, but I am also the wife of Pastor Cy Fields of New Landmark Missionary Baptist Church. And so I am so passionate about our young people and the west side of Chicago, and I'm just excited to be here and to be able to share and learn and just to talk about and discuss some of the things that we think are really critical to the success of our neighborhoods thriving again.
And that sounds amazing. Thank you for being a guest on tonight's show as well. Again, I'm Vernisha Jones, and I'm the president of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. You are watching a live interactive program brought to you by CanTV 21. Thank you once again. During the next 25 minutes, we are going to discuss identifying strategies, teamwork, and a real commitment for reducing senseless violence and or substance abuse on the west side of Chicago. Is that cool with you?
Sounds great.
And we invite our viewers watching to call in with your questions and comments at 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are now open, and you can also see the number at the bottom of the screen. So today's topic is on identifying strategies, teamwork, and real commitment to reducing senseless violence and or substance abuse on the west side of Chicago. Well, everywhere, not just the west side. We're focusing on everywhere. Okay, I have a few questions for you, and we're just going to get the conversation going, okay?
Great, let's go.
So can you tell my audience, who are you and what is your purpose for existing?
Yeah, so my name is, what I believe my parents intentionally selected, but who I am really is wrapped up in who God is and who He has called me to be. And so I think first and foremost that I am a redeemed child of the King who is passionate about walking with others to fully pursue their God-given role in life. I am concerned about not just the issues of violence, but particularly about issues that concern women and African Americans, and the idea that too often we live way beneath the privilege and the promises of God. And so I have dedicated my life to really being where God has called me to be, and that's in marginalized communities where people's voices are being spoken but ignored.
That sounds amazing. Well, can you tell our viewing audience, I heard you say something about working with kids. Can you tell us, do you have any kids? How old are your kids?
I do. I am so excited. I prayed and the Lord gave me girls. I wanted girls. I am just absolutely in love with girls. So I have a 9-year-old who is Autumn, and I have an 11-year-old. I have an 11-year-old who is Autumn, and a 13-year-old who is Summer.
Where you get the 9-year-old from?
We started with Summer, and then I just have been stuck. I think I don't want Autumn to grow up, and so I'm stuck at age 9.
That's happy. So when did you know you wanted to work in the field of violence prevention and social services?
Yeah, it's interesting. I really, in the beginning, I grew up in a home where my mother was very concerned about other people. We in the family were the house where everybody's kid ended up at some point, right? So all of my first cousins at some point in their lives, lived in our house. And so my mom was always welcoming. So I felt like very young that I wanted to do things that would help other people, and I didn't quite know what that would look like. So I spent about 10 years at AT&T. And I was married September 22nd, so 11 days after September 11th. And so that was a really defining moment for me. I was home preparing for my wedding, just doing stuff around the house, and the volume on the television was down. And all I saw was a tower fall. And so I turned up the volume, and it was still silence on the airwaves. And finally, the reporter started talking and said, "I can't believe what just happened." And it was at that moment that I knew that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life helping somebody else grow their revenue, that I needed to do something to make my life count. And so almost a year after that, I resigned and started doing social services.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's encouraging too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm the same way. I got parents that do a lot for other people, and it's like a lot of times you do that type of stuff because you have a history of everybody doing it, and it's just something that just pushes up on you somewhat. Even if it's something you wasn't interested in, but it's just like something.
It's in you.
Yeah.
It's in you because you've seen those examples walked out. Yeah.
Okay. So what strategies are available to reduce senseless violence on the west side of Chicago?
I think you stated in the very beginning that, our strategies are not just about the west side of Chicago, right? When we think about violence, we know that the violence is impacting not just our side of town and not just our city, but our entire country. And then there's violence all around the world. And so I think that because we are West Siders and we love the West Side, that we begin to focus our attention on home.
Yeah, like we have to start somewhere, and then it's like we can't do everything at once.
Right.
So I think when we say on the West Side of Chicago, we be trying to say, we don't be trying to just focus on the West Side, but it's like we can't fix nowhere else until we fix where we come from.
Absolutely.
So it's like I feel like we need to change how we say that, but then it's like when people call us, we always have to explain to them like we can't go to the South Side and try to make the South Side better when we still got stuff going on here.
Yeah.
So
I think what I really believe in strongly is collaboration, right? We each have strengths, we have skills, we have experiences. We each have things that we can bring to the table. And so I think the beginning of violence reduction is each of us thinking about what it is that we possess and being willing to give that on behalf of other people. And so when we start talking about practical strategies, it's an individual approach as well as a community approach. And so when you think about the individual approach, who are the people in my sphere of influence, people around me that I should be listening to? Right, that I should be talking with, that I should be spending time with to ensure that they are not living in isolation, to ensure that their needs are met. So that's more of an individual approach. And then I think, there is a community approach. I keep in my journal, and this is like what I use every day. Yeah, I live my life by this, but I keep in the front of it just a note to remind me from 1 Thessalonians 5:14 that God tells us to warn the unruly, to comfort the feeble-minded, to support the weak, and be patient to all. And I think that that's really the starting point of violence reduction. It's warn the unruly, right? Many times in our communities, we're harboring people that we know are committing crimes, or people who need assistance, and sometimes we don't know what the resources are, right? And so this idea of warning those who need to be warned, to know that your actions have a consequence. But then, it's comforting those who need to be comforted. It's supporting those who need to be supported. And then all of us having patience with one another. Yeah.
That sounds perfect.
So those are, kind of individual things. I think we have to take individual responsibility. A lot of times in our communities, we talk about, being responsible and people taking care of their things, and those in their family. And I think that's important. I also think that it's important, though, that we advocate for justice. And that where things are not right, that we fight to make it right. So when we're talking about strategies to reduce violence, I think it's that two-prong, effect where we've got to be doing what we know is right, but also advocating for quality education, for access to health care, for economic opportunities in our community. So all of those things, I think, really play a part in reducing the violence in our community.
I totally agree. I feel like you can't do nothing if everybody don't want to play as a team.
Yes.
So it's like you said, everybody have different ideas, and if we all bring it to the table with our different ideas on what needs to happen, it can happen rather than everybody trying to do everything on their own, and it never works.
Yeah.
And I see we have a caller. We're gonna take this caller, then get back into our conversation. Hello, caller. Question or comment?
Why, hello, Bernicia. How are you?
Hey, David.
How you doing?
Good.
That's good. Well, I have a question for you and Miss Yolanda. My question is, do you think it is imperative for young people to be involved in their communities? And if so, why should they be involved?
Is it imperative for young people to be involved in their communities? And if so, why? I feel like, of course. I feel like it's a difference when you see young people involved rather than seeing people having events about young people, but don't see no young people there. So, like, when I know, like, a lot of times when we go out with my dad or whatever the case may be, and we go different places, you see the difference in people's faces when they see a group full of young people rather than seeing a group full of more mature people walking in the door. And they see us with these shirts on or whatever the case may be. I feel like it's more empowering than it's like we are the future. So I feel like we should be more involved when it comes to going to these meetings and going to stuff that's dealing with us. Like, why have meetings about young people without young people there? Why make decisions about young people without young people there? So I feel like, yes, of course, young people should always be involved.
Yeah, I think you hit upon some really key concepts. Not only do I believe in inclusion, that we all need to be at the table, but you're right. If we're talking about solutions for some of the concerns that we have with young people, then we need to make sure that young people are engaged and at the table. The other thing is that I think it's important in our community that we represent all people, and so that there are interactions between our elders and our young people and our middle age, and that we're all learning from each other's strength. We often say that young people are our future, but you really are our present. And we don't have a world that's complete without you right now, not just in the future.
And I see we have another caller. Can we take this caller? So we got like 5 of them.
Hello.
Hello, caller. Question or comment?
I'm just calling to say I'm enjoying this show, and I wanted to say to Sister Seifel I wanted to say that I'm enjoying watching you, and I love the fact that you are a first lady, and you're a first lady that's not just being a first lady in the church, but you're being a first lady outside of the church, and you're willing to reach out and help people outside of the church. So I'm glad to see that, and I just want to, commend you for that. And then, Vernisha, I thought what you just spoke on about the fact that, when you're talking about things involving young people, that young people need to be just like Fathers Who Care do. Fathers Who Care bring the young people along, and it needs to happen more so, because if you're talking about young people and trying to make decisions about young people, we have a lot of wise young people that can help us come up with those decisions and help us make those decisions pertaining to them. All we need to do as elders is listen to what the young people are saying. And again, Sister Safiel, I am loving watching you and just hearing what you're saying and what you're saying about reaching out and helping others outside of the church. So thank you all.
Thank you for your call as well.
Thank you.
I see we have another. We're going to take one more call, and then we're going to jump back into the conversation. Hello, caller, question or comment? Okay, we're going to jump back into the conversation. Okay, I just showed them a part of your web page or whatever, because we low-key get into the last 5 minutes. Can you explain more about your program? Because I seen the basketball and stuff, and I see that stuff that young people want to do.
Absolutely.
So can you explain more about your program and stuff that you guys have coming up, or stuff that you guys have going on that young people can get involved in, and how can they reach you and get involved in the program?
Yes. So Breakthrough is a faith-based nonprofit that really partners with those who have been impacted by poverty to really build skills and open doors of opportunity. And so what you show from our website is really just a glimpse of all of the programs that we have available. We are gearing up for summer and are super, super excited because we have so many activities that young people can become involved in. So you were just showing from our website, Home Court. And so Home Court offers an opportunity for young people to come out and play basketball and have food. There are games, bouncy houses, just all the things that you can think of. And this is happening every Friday night to the end of summer. And so people who are interested, you can, of course, go to our website at breakthrough.org. You can also find us at 3219 West Carroll, which is the Breakthrough Familyplex. And inside of the Familyplex are a host of other activities that are available for young people.
And that is on Ashland, right off Ashland and Carroll.
It's actually Carroll and Kedzie.
I see it there. They told me I was wrong.
Yes, you were right. Kedzie and Carroll, 3219 West Carroll is our Familyplex location. And then we do a lot of things with adults. We have 3 other locations. We were talking before about violence reduction, and we have a violence prevention program that really is meeting our community members right where they are. We have a street outreach program where there are men and women who are responding on the scene at violent incidents, and we are there trying to help create a calmness, to offer victim services, to connect with family members who may be there, and then ultimately to begin relationships with those who might want the services that we provide, which include workforce development, food pantry, homeless shelters, you name it, and we're doing it.
That sounds amazing, and that's something that young people need to get more involved in. Actually, something that young people need to know more about. Because a lot of young people, it ain't that they don't want to get involved, it's that they don't know where to go. Yeah. And it's like our neighborhood parks and stuff are becoming unsafe.
Yes.
So much stuff is happening in our neighborhood park. Because I know when I was growing up, my 2 neighborhood parks in my neighborhood, I was there every day.
Yeah.
And then once I got a little bit older, people getting killed at the park, so it's like your parents don't want you there no more.
Yeah.
And then you don't have adults supervising you and all type of stuff. So it's like nowadays, parents want their kids to be supervised, want people around them and all that type of stuff. So it's like, that sounds perfect, and I feel like that will definitely make a difference with our young people.
I'm glad you said that too, because one of our strategies for reducing violence, we're part of a citywide collaboration called Communities Partnering for Peace. And one of the goals in that collaboration is to create safe spaces and to reclaim public spaces. And so every weekend we're in one of the parks. And so
And that makes a difference.
yeah, and
That
so
definitely does.
like we're in Garfield Park the entire summer, just doing amazing events, free concerts, all kinds of shows, and there's always food, which is like the thing that I get excited
that's
about.
Get everybody out. I'm gonna have to get more of your information because I know a lot of people would love to hear more about that. I'm gonna have to put it on my social media,
Yes.
put it on the our program social media, so more people could be able to come out. Because I know when we had ours last year and we was having them every week, you had a lot of people that came down and
Yes.
people that was asking, "Where would your next one be?" So I know that would be a successful as long as people know about it.
Yes.
So, if someone is watching and is in need of counseling or just something, a quote, or actually the quote that you use every day, can you just get them some words of encouragement and remind them who you are?
Yeah, I would first say that, who I am is a child of God, right? Often our names and our titles don't really matter. I think what matters is knowing, even when you're at your lowest point, that God cares. And not only does he care, that he always, always, always responds. And so if we can just hold on through the most difficult times in our lives, the most difficult seasons, God promises to come through. And so he says that he loves us with an everlasting love. And that's the kind of love that just cannot be beat. It can't be trumped. There isn't anything greater. There's nothing higher. Doesn't matter how low we sink. His love is able to resurrect us.
Well, that sounds amazing. Once again, our guest on tonight's show is Mrs. Yolanda Fields, and I'm Vernisha Jones. You see me basically every week. I'm the president of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. We would like to thank our viewers for watching and calling in. For additional information about our youth council or additional information about Breakthrough, you can contact us at 773-287-5821. Again, that number is 773-287-5821. Thank you, and tune in next week, same time, same station, with our guest staff from Youth Outreach Services, and we will be discussing the bullying and positive options for the young people for this summer. Have a good night. See you next time.